Earlier this year, the mural of a Syrian refugee woman that you see behind me was placed in Providence to acknowledge the global refugee crisis. A refugee's journey to the United States can be an emotional, trying process. Often separated from their families, refugees are placed in a new society with a new culture and are often surrounded by a hyper-politicized dialogue. However, once they arrive, refugees use their native skills, language, and culture to bring an entrepreneurial spirit to the local community. We met with some of these hardworking people to discuss how exactly they contribute to the local economy here in Rhode Island. We first met with Omar Ba, Gambian refugee and founder of the Refugee Dream Center, a post-resettlement refugee agency based in Providence, which works to integrate refugees into the local community.
Well, the question was how refugees contribute to the local economy. I think that's such an important question given the current political climate and the fact that there is huge need for putting a human face to refugees, to the population called refugees. So how refugees come to this country is, I think, the best way to answer that question to start with. Because refugees, to start with, they are not immigrants. They are people who are brought in by the U.S. government. The only similarity with immigrants is that both groups come from different parts of the world, but they are not immigrants. The U.S. government goes to a camp and screens people based on their qualification and safety to enter the country, and then brings in a small number, 1% of people displaced. And then that number, the moment they are approved, they pay a ticket. How they pay a ticket, obviously they don't have cash. They are made to sign a loan. And that loan is zero interest, obviously, but they are made to sign a loan and they come in. The moment they enter this country, within a few months upon arrival, approximately 6 months, they begin to receive bills to pay that amount. So if a refugee family of, let's say, 8 comes to this country, just think about it, in 6 months they'll be paying a bill of about $10,000, approximately, because they are coming mostly from Africa or the Middle East. So a refugee family of 8 will be paying an average of $10,000, 5 will be paying an average of $7,000 to $8,000. So that is immediately trickling into the economy, participating into the economy, and then helping to not only contribute by paying that amount, but they have to work. You have to get a job, work hard, because you are paying bills. So you are paying rent, you're paying your gas and electricity bills, and the ticket that brought you to this country. So with all that pressure to work and build an economy around your household, that is automatically building into economy. So refugees arguably are among the most hardworking and most economically viable populations in this country, because not only because they want to, but because they have to. They have to survive, they have to pay bills, they have to pay tickets. And then also there's a sense of gratitude that people want to say thank you to the United States for giving us the chance to come to this country and rebuild our lives, to get a second chance. It's difficult coming to a new country. So refugees face absolutely very high level of barriers in almost every aspect of life or economic life. Imagine a poor older refugee from Eastern Congo who probably have never seen the city of their country, cannot read and write in their own language, or the mountainous regions of Afghanistan. You come into America, you probably have never heard of, let's say, Rhode Island until the day before you come here. And then you come, you cannot read and write English, you cannot drive, so you have language challenge, you have cultural challenge as a barrier, you have transportation challenge, and then you have skills challenge. Probably all your life you've worked as a subsistence farmer, weeding and cultivating corn and peanuts in the fields. You come in here, they're telling you have to go to the factory and do linen washing at the factory, or do metal work at the factory, do different stuff, things that you've never done.
Although refugees face significant barriers to finding employment, it is believed they have a significant impact on their local economies. A report commissioned by the city of Columbus, Ohio, found that for every $6 million spent on refugee resettlement, the local region could expect a $1.6 billion economic stimulus, of which $36 million was in direct spending. While we were at the Refugee Dream Center, Omar introduced us to one of his employees who had recently rebuilt his life in the United States.
My name is Shukuru Mugwa, and I'm a refugee from DRC Congo who has been resettled from a Syria refugee camp to Rhode Island. I arrived here in 2014, January. Obviously, what I do for work this time, I work up at the Refugee Dream Center as a community leader, so helping with refugees, like transportation, that's what I do. And I do another part-time job at Somali Hospital whereby I work in the laundry. Yeah, so far I didn't create any job or any business, but I try to uplift myself in the way that when I came, I started with the factories, and so the job wasn't so easy for me, so I have to change. You know, I have to look where I'll find a better job than the one I was doing before. That's the way I'm changing my life. You know, when you come here in America, it's like a second chance you have in life. So just why as refugees, most of us, we take our jobs serious. So when I came to United States, I faced some challenges, like transportation was a big challenge I had, because luckily when I came, I was been in Namibia, a country where they speak English. So language was not that a big problem to me, but transportation was totally difficult for me. I remember when I got a job in East Providence, and I live in South Providence, so I have to go to work, and I don't know where I'm going. So what I did, I have to take my GPS. I took my phone, I use it as a GPS. I took my phone, I put it here, like in the pocket. So, and I put my headset in the eye, and I took my car, I bought a bicycle, and I have to go to work with my bike. So I didn't know if I cannot ride in the highway with a bike. So I found myself in the highway with the bike. So I have to come back. That was the biggest challenge I had when I came to America. It was really transportation and the weather.
The term refugee itself, you know, whether you are a refugee or not, the term, you know, it connotes somebody of less, somebody who is a handout receiver, somebody who is probably in such a degraded condition that needs help, that's helpless or hopeless or displaced. That's the connotation of the term refugee. So that alone carries stigma with itself. The other stigma is really what is paraded around the media, the political discourse, the politicians themselves stigmatizing or trying to bracket refugees as people who are terrorists, people who should be feared, people who everybody should be afraid of, and forgetting that these are survivors.
Here in Rhode Island, many politicians have shown support for refugee resettlement programs, including Governor Gina Raimondo and Providence Mayor Jorge Elorza. Rhode Island Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee spoke with us about his support for refugee communities.
And that's what's going to happen now. The communities that are kind of in the spotlight, and especially in the national terms of immigration and you know the positives and negatives that attributed to that, they seem to be getting all the heat, right? Oh well, you got to prove that you need to be here. Well, when my dad's dad started the ice business in 1917, and then second generation ran it as an oil business, and now my brothers and I run that business as a full energy company. Yeah, we were, you know, new on the block. And when the Irish were here, they were told not to apply for jobs. And so everybody kind of has to earn their way through. And as they do, they become really part of the fabric of our communities, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
Obviously, where I work now, as I said, I love my job and I like the job. So people are so lovely, my coworkers are good, so my manager is good, so I don't have any problem with my job. Yeah, so I can say I love my job because every day when I go to work, I'm happy, and I come home, I'm happy.